AI is a prediction machine. It absorbed a library bigger than any human could read in a lifetime. When you ask it something, it guesses what comes next, token by token, based on every pattern it saw. That's the frame. Everything else is detail. If you got it, close this video. If you want depth, keep watching. Before I land on the prediction machine, I want to tell you what I tried first. The wrong frames are sticky, and you've probably been carrying one without noticing. The first frame most people start with is AI is search. You type a question, AI looks up the answer. I held this frame for the first 6 months I used ChatGPT, and it felt right because most of the time, the answer was correct. The problem is that the frame breaks every time AI confidently makes something up. A paper that doesn't exist, a statistic off by an order of magnitude, a URL you'll click and find a 404. If AI is search, you can't explain those moments. The intuition isn't wrong because AI never searches. These days it often does. It's wrong because the moment AI generates, rather than retrieves, you have no way to predict what you're getting. The harness layer that decides when to search and the LLM layer that generates the words are two different mechanisms. That distinction is the whole subject of episode 2. The second frame is AI is magic. You ask, it answers, who knows how. I see this in people who decided to stop trying to understand and just hope for the best. That frame produces a specific bug. You stop trusting your own judgment about the output, because if it's magic, who are you to second guess it? Magic isn't a working frame, it's giving up. The third frame is AI is a brain. I held this one for a while. Then I opened a new chat and said, let's continue where we left off. The answer told me to paste it. Brains don't ask you to paste yesterday. Even with memory features and overnight consolidation, the brain frame breaks. This thing doesn't carry context. It reconstructs from sparse summaries. Treat AI like a brain, and the thread you assume is there will keep snapping. The prediction machine is what's left when those three break. The frame has 3 clauses, and each clause makes a falsifiable prediction about what AI will do when you actually use it. I'm going to walk through them one at a time, and for each, show you AI doing the thing. First clause, AI absorbed a library bigger than any human could read in a lifetime. That's training. Here's the gap that makes this episode necessary. 90% of people have heard of AI. Only 13.7% understand how it works. Hostinger's data, 2025. That gap is what I'm closing right now. The library image is the bridge. AI knows things you didn't tell it, not because it's looking them up, but because the patterns are already inside. Watch this. I'm going to ask AI to summarize a book it has never been pointed at. No file uploaded, no URL pasted, no search needed. Plausible? Yes. Recognizable? Yes. Where did that come from? Not from a database lookup. AI was trained on enough commentary about this book, reviews, lecture notes, blog posts, Wikipedia summaries, that the patterns are baked in. It's generating from compressed training, not retrieving from storage. Every question you ask AI is a question you're asking that compressed library. Second clause. When you ask AI something, it guesses what comes next, one token at a time, based on every pattern it saw. That's generation. The pattern was already in the library. The answer is composed fresh, word by word. Here's what that looks like when you make the variation visible. If AI were a search engine, the same prompt would give me the same answer every time. Watch what happens. All 3 completions land in the same neighborhood: a candle, an envelope, similar imagery. That tight clustering is the prediction mechanism made visible at a newer model's narrower distribution. AI is still sampling from a probability distribution of likely next words. It's just sampling from a tighter one. Newer models reduce variation, but they don't eliminate sampling. The variation isn't a bug, it's how prediction works. And it's why the way you write the prompt matters so much. You're not posing a question, you're aiming the guess. Third clause. AI's answer is its best guess. Plausible, not verified. Coherent, not necessarily true. The training compressed patterns from text humans wrote. The AI is sampling from those patterns. There is no truth-checking step in the mechanism. Watch. AI didn't lie to you. It doesn't have a lie mode. It generated the most plausible sounding answer to the question I asked. That's all it can do. It's a guess in the technical sense, a probability distribution over next tokens, sampled. An extremely well-informed guess, drawing on more text than I'll ever read. But still, a guess. Best guess is the right level of accuracy for a practitioner who's going to act on the answer. 3 clauses, 3 demos, 1 frame. AI absorbed a library. AI guesses what comes next, token by token. AI's answer is its best guess. The frame is teachable in 30 seconds because every subclause was a thing you just watched AI do. What does this frame actually buy you? 3 predictions you can make now that you couldn't before. Prediction 1. AI will be confident even when it's wrong. There's no truth-checking step in the mechanism. AI was trained to generate plausible next tokens. It was not trained to generate true next tokens. Plausibility and truth are correlated when the question is well-trodden, but they decouple sharply on the edges. Once I held this frame, I stopped being surprised when AI fabricated a citation. I'd asked it to retrieve, it can only generate. That's not betrayal. That's the machine being honest about what it is. When to verify and when not to. That's episode 5. Prediction 2. AI will be context-sensitive in surprising ways. Different prompts retrieve different patterns. Same question, different framing, different answer. Sometimes a single extra sentence at the start of your prompt produces a completely different response, not because AI changed its mind, but because the new sentence steered into a different region of the training. Once you see AI as guessing from patterns, prompt engineering stops being a black art. You're not casting spells, you're aiming the guess. Prediction 3. AI will be brittle on genuinely novel reasoning. Pattern matching is what generative AI does best. When the task lives inside well-precedented patterns, summarize, rephrase, translate, classify, draft, AI is at its strongest. When the task requires reasoning over something the training has never seen, a fresh logical structure, an original analytical chain, performance gets jagged. Episode 4 takes that apart. The difference between AI being smart in the way that means knows a lot, and AI being smart in the way that means thinks well about things it hasn't seen. Before I move on, a fair pushback. Someone's going to say I'm oversimplifying. What about how it's tuned on human feedback? What about multimodality? What about tool use? What about reasoning models that visibly think before answering? Right. A complete explanation takes a semester. The 30-second frame is a starting frame that holds across every one of those refinements. That human feedback tuning adjusts what AI predicts. It shapes the distribution. Multimodality changes what AI can predict about. Text becomes images, becomes audio. Reasoning models predict in chains. They generate intermediate thinking tokens before generating the final answer. The mechanism is unchanged. The chain is longer. Add the nuances when you need them. The starting frame holds. One thing to do, tomorrow. Pick a task you've been putting off. Something from your maybe AI could do this pile. Open whatever AI you use, ChatGPT, Claude, Gemini, whatever, and give it to the machine. But before you hit enter, predict what you'll get back. A confident draft, not a verified fact. Then steer it, edit, correct, push back, instead of accepting the first thing it hands you. That's the default question made real. Start with what AI could do, then aim the guess. A frame this simple is one you could teach in 30 seconds. That's how you know it's yours. And if your first prompt flops, a flop tells you exactly where your frame broke. Go back to the part of this video where you got lost. Watch it twice and try again. The next time you reach for AI, ask it like a guess you're going to steer, not an answer you're going to receive.